Okay, hello YouTube. Um, Wanted to talk about the Golden Gloves National Tournament in Detroit. Um, a somebody, I can't remember the name of the channel, put up a bunch of select fights for uh, 3 days of the tournament, and I watched a lot of fights this morning and a few last night. You all know how I feel about the decision against our number one amateur boxer around here, that we're the biggest fan of him. The robbing of Zeke Castro. So I've told you guys I don't watch a whole lot of amateur boxing much anymore, although I used to watch it every chance I got. And so what I want to talk about is the inconsistency in judging. And I'm going to use the Zeke Castro match that he had with this other guy, which I've already shared for those of you that watch the channel, but I'm going to relate it to another fight that I watched, another bad decision. And I've seen a bunch of bad decisions sitting here in retroflecting Monday morning quarterbacking. So it's real easy for me to do this, right? But Zeke was in there with the guy. He should have moved on to the championship round, the final. He was in there with the guy that was showboating, jumping all around, had a lot of, he was severely minus in technique, the other guy. And it was just a clown show. Well, I just watched another one, and this was at 165, and I can't remember the guys' names. It was day one or day two. And there was a shorter guy and a taller guy. And so there was a good bit of height difference. And you guys know me, I think the shorter guy fares the better chance every single time. And with the style and the way we do things, it does. But this shorter guy, the taller guy stayed off of him. He fought moving back. But the taller guy clearly won on points. Clearly won on points. The shorter guy was swinging at air more often than not, and I literally mean swinging at air, and just getting outclassed throughout, in all three rounds. Yet they gave it to the guy, the shorter guy. And assessing it and being on the outside looking in, you had judges sitting there for that fight that were giving the sway to the guy that was moving forward, and on the one or two punches he would connect per round were power punches. So they were scoring it more along the lines of a professional fight. However, even in a professional, I said along the lines now, even in a professional fight, the shorter, stockier, stronger guy would have lost. The taller guy was just accumulating too much points. He had too many well-landed punches. The strikes were right on. And we need to put those strips back in the knuckle portion of the glove where these judges can see a proper strike. That's got to come back. They've got to put those strips back, and they got to start going by what they see on those strips on those gloves. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back the 60s or 70s and look at amateur boxing, and you're going to see a stripe going across the knuckles, a big thick stripe. And it was there for a reason. So, but anyway, y'all know I've been very critical of Boxing USA. Now, this particular fight, was actually on day one. And then I went and looked at the final, and the people that are being progressed in a lot of cases to the final are people that got bad decisions on day one, and you have a crummy final. Well, why are you saying this? Because the people that get picked for the Olympics and the folks that get picked to represent the United States, let's say when the U.S. is got a tournament against Cuba or Mexico or Panama, we are sending whereas we used to try to send the creme de la creme, we are sending the worst possible guys to represent us. And it's got to stop. And you guys are going to see, these Olympics are going to start here soon. And you are going to see that the United States is going to get completely demolished in Olympic boxing. And if by some chance they don't, and you guys come back on me and say, well, they didn't, the only thing that's going to prove is other countries, whom I'm not looking at other than Colombia, where I'm at the moment, which is doing things, they're following the path of the United States. They're going to have an awful team too. And you all know why. If you're first time to this channel, I'll tell you briefly, they won't even let Joe into league boxing here. They've got them separated in government-sponsored leagues from city to city. And they won't let Joe in league boxing. As soon as he goes down there, they look at him and they're like, no, this ain't possible, and start talking about brain damage and pugilistic dementia and all this other stuff, and they won't let him participate. Now, mind you, I know how great he is. Mind you, they know how great he is. But instead of having him on the team to face these other cities and represent Colombia fighting some other countries, no, they're not going to do that. It's the selfishness of trainers that they're scared to death to take on someone that they haven't trained. And they don't know taking them in their fold and taking them in their flock would propel and promote them as a trainer. And they just can't get it. This Latino macho thing, they can't get it, they can't see it. But So there's a lot of things going on here that are very similar to the U.S. Now, the big difference there is that when Joe does go back to the U.S., when we do get back to the U.S. within a year or so, Joe's going to have a lot of competition. However, the competition is not going to be that grand. And I can guarantee you that. And I'll guarantee you that out of these many amateur fights that I've watched through the morning this morning and what I watched yesterday through the evening, there's not one guy. There was one guy I looked at. He was actually cheating, but he was not trained how to cheat properly, and I hate to say that. But you got to teach your guys to dig deep to respond to cheating. So we go over these things quite a bit. We go over these things quite a bit. We don't only say don't do this, we teach you how to react to it in a negative way that will stop it by whatever means necessary. So we go through about an hour a month training how to combat when somebody's cheating. And ain't gonna be good for somebody that comes up on us cheating. I'm just gonna be blunt about it. From 160 pounds up to 203 pounds, other than one guy that was cheating. And here's what would have happened there. That guy started leading with his head, and Joe would have took him down just like that. That boy would have got knocked out, which is another problem. Knockdowns, standing 8 counts, knockouts. I haven't seen as of yet. Now, have I watched every fight? No, but I've watched a boatload of them, maybe 25 or 30 of them. And I'm not one 8 count, standing 8, not one knockdown, and not one knockout. Had we had been there, there would have been several. And you know, a lot of people are, well, you're cocky. No, we just work hard. We are outworking everybody else, and we are training to do that specific thing. See, it's not rocket science. It's not boasting or bragging. And like Ali said, it ain't bragging if you can back it up. And I'm an old man. I've been in and out of this sport for decades and decades and decades, and I know what I see. I look at a 30 or 40-year-old trainer out here, maybe he's 45, and thinks he knows about the sport, and it's just the knowledge is so lacking. They can't see. They can't adapt to the fighter. In other words, maybe you train one style to one guy and you train another style to another guy, and they just can't do it. It's because they're not wise. See, they're not wise. So we've just got a fundamental failure in amateur boxing in the United States, and I guarantee you're going to see it. I will be shocked if we win more than. I'll be shocked if we get a silver medal. I will have to be resuscitated if we win 1 gold medal. And at best, I think we get 3 medals overall. And if we do that, we're doing it on sheer population and not technical greatness. So, or grit, or backbone. So I'm terribly upset. I know that when Trump gets back in office, I know this. and I'll say if he gets back, there are going to be some major changes with boxing, with amateur boxing in the United States. A lot of people and a lot of resources are going to go away. And sometimes you gotta go through some suffering to get things right. And I do believe the suffering's coming. Unfortunately, until the suffering comes for the adults, it's these young guys and gals that end up suffering. And we can't do that. There's no being woke, there's no being awake, there's no right or left, there's no independent. You just have to do the right thing. This is not soccer. This is not Olympic sweeping. This is a violent sport, and the people that are in charge are not understanding this very well at the moment. We need former boxers heading the whole thing. We need to weed out the know-it-alls and people that have horse blinders on. We need to get those people out and get fresh new perspectives. And those perspectives, those fresh new perspectives, need to come from old gray men. Needs to come from experience. And just very disappointed. I sat and watched this. Joe didn't look as much as I did. We're kind of in a hiatus. He went to the gym the other day, started hitting a bag, and boom, his back was hurting again. We went up there day before yesterday and did some rehab type of stretching and back building exercises, but not the way we build the back. Joe does a peekaboo style, I'll just say Mike Tyson type style, Tommy Morrison type thing. He throws a lot of hooks, and there's a lot of dig that comes through the side of the back going down, and it can wreak havoc on your back. That's why nobody uses the style anymore. Their backs can't handle it. So we're going through this now. He's just 15. We'll get it corrected and move on with that. And so we're approaching that with some differences. But he's better now, and he's caught a really, really bad cold. And we're not going to start. Maybe he said he wants to go up and do some stuff this afternoon. We'll see about it. I'm telling him, hey, just wait till Monday, and even take more time if he feels he needs it, because this kid's training like he's in fight camp, training camp every day, 6 days a week, and or 5 and 6 days a week, and has been doing this since he was 13, and I keep telling him you got to relax a little bit here and there, and but he loves it, and he keeps doing it, and he loves his schoolwork, and he keeps stabbing and sticking away at that too. He's an A student, can't ask for nothing better. The one thing I know, he looked at some of these fights in Detroit as well, and he agrees with me. He's like, there's nobody at 160 up to 203, which is the maximum weight we've seen in videos that have been put out that we've been able to hustle up. And he's like, I would have flattened every single one of these guys, and he would have. And the guys he would have had trouble with didn't advance. And he probably would not have advanced. And but then again, You look at somebody like Usyk, winning the amateurs is winning in the professionals, but more often than not, a guy that don't do so good in the amateurs ends up being your pound for pound great over the years. Now I'm saying more often than not, because it's a different thing, amateur boxing and professional boxing. So I just wanted to talk about some of those things. We'll never be able to get bad decisions out of boxing as long as it's on a decision. Humans are fallible, but what's going on in amateurs right now is just totally mind-boggling to me. Totally mind-boggling. You know, when you see another guy's hand getting raised and the other guy's chin on the canvas, like, what happened? I won this fight, and everybody knows they won it, except those judges sitting down there. Everybody else knows who won. It's just them that don't know it. And a message to any amateur fighters out there: do not let these inadequate and ignorant, and I don't mean that offendful, I mean non-knowing judges, and these judges that allow their feelings to get in. Well, I like this boy better, so I'm going to give it to him. And you can't let those kinds of people that are ignorant to the sport that you participate in to kill your spirit. You can think about it and you can get upset for a day or so, but then you need to move on. And you need to do what Paul said in the Bible: shine like a star in the universe. And push forward and do the best you can. Don't let any of these decisions drag you down, because these guys don't know what they're talking about. They do not get it. We've got about a 60-40 success rate in amateur boxing judging right now. So you're going to end up on the 40% of the bad decisions even when you do win. So don't let it get you down. Don't let it get you to where you want to quit and you want to move on to something else. Stick with it. Young boxers, you actually know, and those around you who really care about you actually know and can see, along with yourself, how good you are. If you've got decent people around you, they'll come tell you the truth of how good you are, or maybe you need to go on to doing something else. And I've told over this past year 15 guys, this ain't good for you. This is, you're welcome to come here, but I don't know if I want you even sparring no more. I have to get guys to go very easy on them. I have to make a lot of contingency plans for guys. And when it gets to where that ain't working, I have to tell them, you know, this ain't your cup of tea here. And it's no big deal. You know, maybe you'd be the world jiu-jitsu champion. Maybe that's it for you, but boxing might not be. So, and a lot of these gyms need to be honest about that too. If you own a boxing gym and you're a so-called coach, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to develop your mentality into being a trainer. Coaches cheerlead and trainers train. And we need more trainers that will be honest with these kids and that need to do a lot of focusing on the great ones that come in the door. And quit worrying about, you know, as long as you've got the money coming in and you're fine and you're doing good, you should be happy and you should be doing the right things. If you own a gym, or if you're a trainer that goes into a gym or what have you, in someone else's, but you've got to do this for the love of it. If you're doing it for the money, you can get somebody killed. So you got to think about that. Nobody's talking about these things. I am, and the old timers used to talk about this in the 70s a lot, but you never hear a guy talking about this now. You didn't hear one talking about it in the 80s or the 90s. Moved on to a money thing. So it moved on from pride in oneself and the hard work and the asking of the Lord to help guide them to money, money, money. And it's going to lead you to hell every single time in anything you do if you're running for that. So just try to keep in mind some of the things I'm saying here. And especially you young guys that are in amateurs and guys that are training you, gyms that are helping you and things like that. Because things like this can bring the whole gym down. It can bring all the motivation down. The trainer starts thinking he's inadequate. Everybody around the boy or the gal starts, well, we're inadequate. There's something wrong with us. And you may not be nothing wrong with you. The problem is with these judges. See? So if you saw yourself win and you're not just completely moronic in thought and can be honest with yourself, then what you're saying is right, because I'm seeing it all the time. And if I'm seeing it and you're seeing it, you got to go with it. And that's the biggest problem we have today. That's why elections are stolen, and you can't dare mention it or you're a lunatic. And they're doing it in a major way. In a major way, they're doing the same thing in boxing and everything else, every aspect of life. So go off of what you see. They'll show you a surveillance video, and you see the person clear as day committing the crime, and they'll sit and flip it around and make it look like you're crazy and you didn't see what you saw. So don't fall into this world. Don't do it. And I tell you young guys every day, you better get up with my king. And my king is the king of all other kings. And if you up around a false king with a Napoleon complex, you better get away from that and get up with my king, the real Christ, because you're just in for a much harder life. This world ain't meant to be pleasant for you at any rate, but it sure is a lot easier if you have the King of Kings. I'll tell you that. So much love to everybody. God bless my Christian brothers and sisters. And to everybody else, much love to you. And remember, if you get that knock at the door, answer it. You'll be glad you did.